Hello, welcome to Module 2. We are going to be talking all about cash. This is the first section of Module 2, and we're going to talk about why cash is king. This is going to be a bit of an introduction and explaining why we're even talking about cash. Why is this a subject that is worth really getting a grip on as business owners? So here's a very big statement, but cash equals life. So if you run out of cash, you are dead. And that is the main reason why you hear this phrase said, cash is king. This is what this means. So I know we're going to talk about this throughout this entire course, but when we're focusing on money, when we're focusing on cash, it can easily be conceived that we're obsessing about getting rich and about money coming our way. And I know some people will think, I don't want to think that way. I want to just kind of do good and be following my passion, the things that I want to do, not be all about the money. The reality is, though, everything that you want to do, every noble thing, every great thing, every piece of impact that you want to make depends on cash. Because without cash, you're not able to run a good business, you're not able to move forward, and eventually, if the cash runs out, there is no business and there's no impact at all. So if you run out of cash, you are dead. And that's why we are going to focus so much on cash flow and on becoming experts at knowing where it is and dictating where it flows. Here's a stat, and it says 82% of small businesses fail to poor cash flow management. This is pulled from Entrepreneur Magazine, which is citing a study that was done basically backing up the point I just made. And that is, if you are unaware of where the cash is going, you are really setting yourself up for potential disaster. And if you want to keep your business going, if you want to build on the foundation you've set, you need to understand what's happening with the cash. And cash does not mean revenue. There are differences. There's a very specific act of knowing about your cash flow, and that's what this module is all about. So this is why cash is king, because no matter what industry you're in, no matter what things went wrong, no matter what mistakes were made, the bottom line is every business that fails has one thing in common, and that is it ran out of cash. So you could make the argument that of all things in business, the most important thing is cash flow, because cash flow keeps things going. It makes you able to do the things you want to do, and it gives you some freedom to do the big things that you're excited about. So I don't want to just talk about the negative, and so that's why I made this really fun-looking spaceship slide to be a little more positive, because it's not just about not running out of cash. I don't want it to be like a defensive mindset. There's also a component of it that has to do with offense. And when you have big dreams and you want to make an impact and you want to do great things, it's not just about having cash in the bank and not running out. It's about having excess cash. Because even if you have the cash to keep the doors open and keep it running, that's usually not enough to do the things that you really want to do. And so when you have cash flow, that's when you have that freedom to do the things that you really care about, that really matter. And when you are tight on cash, you tend to not be able to make decisions with the big picture in mind, because you're so focused on the short term and on keeping the cash in the business. So here's some examples, and here's how to, you can think about this in your own business, that it's not really about cash flow. Cash flow is, what we're talking about in this session, but that's not the goal. That's not the point. The point is different for every business, depending on whatever your dreams are and whatever your big, audacious goals happen to be. So it could be that you are able to take more money out of the business and reward yourself and your family. I'm amazed how many businesses we work with that are doing a great job, and they're growing, and they have happy clients, they have happy customers, and they're not taking any money home, because every dollar that they can generate is needed to keep the business sustained. And so that is a poor management of cash flow. you should be able to reward yourself for the things you're doing in your business. And if you're not, if things are tight for now, you should be able to have a plan on how to generate more cash and be able to take it home. Excess cash flow also allows you to make an impact in your community. So a lot of people want to do that, and you should. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, of creating a business, is that it creates such a trickle down that impacts so many things when you have a great business. But without excess cash flow, you can't do any of those things. You have to pour all the money back in to keeping the business going. Excess cash flow also allows you to build an amazing business and over deliver for your clients. So not just doing enough so that they're happy and they're not complaining, but to have excess cash flow to do a little bit something extra, to make a wow for your clients. That's something that a lot of us would like to do, but it's like, I just really can't because cash is so tight and I got to use that cash to cover payroll, and you never actually do those cool things that you want to do. And also, excess cash allows you to invest in your employees. I mean, how many of us have kind of wrestled with that decision-making process where you look at your employees and you value them and you love them and you want them to stick around, you want them to grow, you want them to feel passionate and hungry and excited about the company, but there's really not an opportunity to reward them in a meaningful way. You want to reward them, but you're kind of stuck because you realize if you do, then that prevents you from hiring the next person that's going to help you grow. And so when you have excess cash flow, it gives you that freedom to really invest in your employees and reward the ones that deserve it so that they stick around and so that they continue to be loyal to you and continue to make the business great. All those things that I think pretty much any business owner wants to do, has a desire to do, require cash. When cash is tight, you don't do those things. You're just getting by, and that's what we want to prevent. That's what we want to avoid. And so what we want to do here is understand cash in a different way. Understand that everything that happens comes back to where is the cash going and what are you doing with it? Why is it moving the way it is? Because this cash shortage will suffocate you. So just like all those great things that you can do with excess cash, when you're short on cash, you are suffocated, and you can't even you not only can't do those things that you want to do, but you can't even think the way you want to think. Because as entrepreneurs, we're wired to look forward, to think big, to think about growing and exponential and moving forward. But when you're tight on cash, you're just thinking about survival and about getting by and about today and about this month. We want to be thinking big and thinking about making an impact. So on the flip side, this is what happens when cash is tight. You're reactive, you're short-sighted, you settle. You don't go for those big things, those home runs, you settle. Your employees suffer because you can't reward them the way you want to. You get less joy in your business and anxiety runs high. So we all know that feeling, of anxiety, and that's, in some ways that's part of business ownership. It's kind of a rite of passage, but you don't want that to go on forever. It doesn't have to be that way. There can be seasons where you get to reap the rewards, and you get to have excess cash flow, and you get to do big, exciting things and think big rather than think short term. So this is our goal, and this is just the introduction. We're going to go a lot deeper into this subject. We actually have some material from Philip Campbell that's coming next about how he approaches cash flow. But our goal for this section is to become a cash flow expert. So before you can start to generate excess cash flow and make sure that happens, you have to become an expert at knowing what's happening with the cash and what's about to happen to the cash. So you may be in a position where your business is producing excess cash flow. That'd be awesome. But you can, once you know where it's going, you can find ways to multiply that and to use that cash to invest back into the business and create even more. So that's what we're going to cover here. But for this first section, now I think you have a good understanding of why people say cash is king and why it is everything to your business and to the things that you want to do. So let's keep going and work on becoming a cash flow expert.